We're live. Okay. Hi, everybody. How are y'all? What I'm about to do today is go over the rezoning process for Hayes CISD. As you've heard, we're about to rezone our middle schools and our high school attendance zones. So what I'm going to do in this live video is I'm going to give you an outline of the process that we're going to use to rezone the high school and middle schools. And then I'm going to also answer questions. So afterwards, feel free to ask me any questions. If you have some questions now, hey Maria, if you have any questions, just put them in the comments and I'll be taking a look at them at the conclusion. And I'll be happy to answer any questions y'all have. So what we'll be doing in the next few weeks is we're going to have a rezoning committee. And so let me tell you a little bit about that. But first, let me tell you about the school we're about to open. We're going to open Mo and Jean Johnson High School. The trustees voted unanimously to name the school Mo and Jean Johnson High School last year in December of 2017. Mr. Johnson was my superintendent when I went to school here at the beginning of my career as a student at Hayes CISD. He was the first superintendent for the school district in 1967, so he was here when the district was created, when we merged multiple school districts to create Hayes CISD. And he, along with his wife, Eugenia Jean Johnson, basically started the school district and created a lot of the traditions and procedures and processes that built the school district. And many of you may not know that Ms. Johnson wrote a book about Hayes CISD. It's called A Tribute to the Vision, Courage, and Trust, the story of the Hayes Consolidated Independent School District. So the 2017 bond, which passed overwhelmingly, established the Johnson High School. So when the voters approved Johnson High School in the May 2017 bond, and after it was approved, we started construction right away in June of 2017. And we are expecting to open in August of 2019. Now, eventually the school will have 9th through 12th grade, and the capacity is 2,250 students. That's a big school. It's going to be 413,500 square feet. It's going to come in at about $250 a square foot for construction costs. That's $103,375,000 for construction. Now, the total cost for building Johnson High School and equipping it is going to be about $122 million. That's going to include furniture, equipment, infrastructure for the site, architecture, costs, and other fees. Now, when Johnson will open in 2019, it's going to have 9th and 10th grade. It's going to have full academic programming. It's going to have full fine arts programming. It's going to have a full career and technical educational opportunity classes. We're going to have varsity sports for individuals only at the first year. So it's only going to have 9th and 10th grade. So, you know, for example, tennis is, you can compete in varsity sports for tennis as an individual sport, but we won't have football, for example, or basketball varsity. We will be able to compete at sub-varsity level, so we will have 9th and 10th grade teams for sports. Now, in 2020 to 2021, the school will add varsity sports, and it will add 11th graders, at that particular time. And then in 2021, it will be fully transitioned and we will have 9th through 12th grade. Now, because we're building this new school, we're going to need to change the attendance zones. So the school board recently voted to establish a committee to change attendance zones. We have charged the committee with making recommended changes to the high school and middle school attendance zones, and to accommodate the opening of Johnson High School. Now, we are not touching elementary zones at this time. We will in the future, but this particular committee is only going to change the high school and middle school attendance zones. The committee is going to have about 35 voting members. So every school board member, and there's 7 of us, is going to appoint 5 people. And each board member is responsible for appointing people. And so I'm working on appointing people. I don't have all my appointments yet. So if you're interested in being on the committee, feel free to send me an email, give me a call, send me a Facebook message, and we can talk about perhaps appointing you to the committee. Now, the committee won't be alone in working on this particular task, because the administration will be there to support the committee. So there's some of the things the administration is going to do for the attendance zone committee. They're going to provide 2 to 3 starter maps to the committee to start them off with. So the committee will take those maps and make changes to them. Maybe we make a whole new map. They can do what they feel like they need to do to get the job done. But the administration will provide 2 to 3 starter maps for the committee. They'll also be responsible for getting answers to questions or getting information. So if the committee has questions such as, how many people do you think are going to live in this particular neighborhood? The administration is going to be providing a lot of data about that type of information, about, if they want to get an idea of what it would look like if the zone was cut a certain way, the administration will create a map based on what the committee wants so that the committee can look at that. Administration will also be responsible for getting meeting space for the committee, and also for anything else that the committee may need to do its job. The Board of Trustees is going to vote on the attendance zones, and the Board of Trustees makes the final decision on what the zones are going to look like. So the attendance zone committee will make a recommendation as to what the zones should look like. And then the board will take that recommendation and review it. And the board will say, either we're going to accept what the attendance zone committee wants to do, or that we're going to make some changes to the proposed attendance zones that the committee has recommended, and do that. But the vote will be the board's decision. And so I just want to make that distinction so that people will understand how that particular thing works. Now the committee is going to be working really, really hard to create the zones. We're expecting the committee to meet at least 4 times to work on attendance zones. But it's really possible that they may need more time to work on the attendance zones. So we've budgeted at least 4 meetings, but we think that it's possible that the committee may want to have as much as 3 extra meetings. So they may meet as much as 7 times, perhaps. That's going to be up to the committee. They'll decide what they need. Then the committee is going to also conduct some public forums. So how that will work is that the committee will have a draft of, or multiple drafts of different versions of the attendance zone map. And then the committee will have the administration put that up on the internet. And then you can look at the attendance zones, the proposed attendance zones. And then, after you look at that, you can come to a public hearing and at a public forum. And at the public forum, you can make comments. You can look at the maps. We'll have them printed out there. And then you can go and look at that and provide testimony to the committee and say what you like, what you don't like, make suggestions. You'll be able to do that. And then what the committee will do is they'll meet afterwards and they'll take a look at the information that y'all provided at the public forum. And also you may be providing it via email. You may be providing it via some other online form that we may put up. And you can provide feedback to us. and provide feedback to the committee rather, and then they'll take that and they'll use that as input to update the maps. So the committee is going to present the attendance zone recommendation to us, the school board, at a meeting. Now, we would vote on the attendance zones this year. So it's likely that the committee will bring a attendance zone map for us to vote on in November. But it's possible that they may need more time and they'll bring it to us in December. That's fine too. Now, if they bring it to us in November, we have 2 meetings in November they could possibly bring the attendance zone committee recommendation to us on. They could bring it to us on November the 12th or November the 26th. We have 2 meetings. Now, typically, we have 2 meetings a month. Now, the first meeting is what's called an agenda review meeting, where we ask a lot of questions and look at the packet of information that's been provided to us. And we usually typically vote at the second meeting on the November 26th meeting. So more than likely, if they bring us something on in November, we would probably be voting November the 26th. That's the first Monday after Thanksgiving on a particular attendance zone map for middle schools and high schools. Now, if the committee may need more time and to create something, they would bring it to us in December. We have 1 meeting in December, December the 17th, and that would be when we would make a decision if the decision would go all the way to December. So we would take a look at the attendance zone at that particular time and make a vote. Again, you know, we want to be flexible here because one, we want the committee to have sufficient time to make the decisions that they need to make a recommendation to the school board. And number 2, we want to give the public plenty of opportunities to make input. I know in the past, CISD has gotten a lot of compliments, and I know we will in the future too, about how open we are with the processes for changing attendance zones. So we have a lot of information on the web about it. We'll create a dedicated page on our website about it that you can go to and look at everything that that the committee has come up with. So you'll be able to review that as it happens. Now, there's one thing about the attendance zones that I want to get really clear about. That no decisions are made in advance of the committee convening or in advance of the school board meeting to make a final determination on the attendance zones. So I know that, you know, there's been some talk that, you know, we know that people have been saying that there's a certain, this neighborhood is going to go in this attendance zone and this neighborhood is going to go in that attendance zone, and that decision has been made already, and that's not correct. The attendance zones have not been decided in advance. There have been no decisions made in advance. The committee has got the charge and they have the ability to make recommendations, and they have the ability to draw maps the way they think is going to be helpful to the community. And then the school board will make the final decision at a meeting. So that's how that process works. No decisions are made in advance. Now, there are some guidelines for the attendance zone process that I want to make you aware of. The school board has a policy, and the policy is called FC Local. And it was issued on September the 29th, 2017. That's the latest edition. And FC Local basically is our school attendance area policy. And you can read that online if your website and look up the policies. You just go to the policy section of the website and type in FC Local, and you can get the complete policy. But I'll summarize some of the key points there. The Board of Trustees has some guidelines about how attendance zones are established and some guidelines that the committee will use when they're making decisions. And these guidelines have been put into policy. So number 1, we want to maintain a neighborhood school concept. Number 2, we want to prevent, reduce, and eliminate overcrowding. Number 3, we want to allow for future growth. So we want to build school zones that, where we know if a neighborhood is going to get bigger in the future, we want to allow for that. We want to keep distances traveled by students as short as possible. We want to minimize the need for student transportation. And we want to allow campuses to house students safely and provide adequate services to all students. So that are some of the guidelines that we have in policy for high school, middle school attendance zones. And again, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, in this particular time, in this particular committee, we are only looking at high school and middle school zones. We're not looking at elementary school zones. That will definitely come in the future, but not at this point in time. So we really obviously need a new school. Hayes High School's got about 3,000 students. Lehman's got about 2,700 students. We're busting at the seams, and we're going to continue growing and growing and growing. Everybody really wants to live in this community. This is a great community to raise your children in. It's a great community to put your kids in to a school and know that they're going to be safe, know that they're going to be educated, know that they're going to have a great environment, not only academically, but socially. So we're going to keep growing and growing and growing. So that's basically the information about zoning. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to look real quick to see if there were any questions that came up while I was speaking. Try to keep an eye on the comments when I could, but let me take a quick look here. And by the way, I created this with no privacy security on this particular broadcast, so you can share this easily to any place you want, and anybody can see it, not just the friends on my Facebook page, but anybody. So feel free to share this information on your neighborhood Facebook pages and neighborhood group Facebook pages, or just with your friends. Just share it out. Share it out. Hopefully this is good information so that people can learn a little bit more about the process of rezoning. Again, I'm in the middle of appointing people to the rezoning committee. So if you would be interested in being on the rezoning committee, let me know. I'm working on that. I've contacted people, and I'm still contacting people who have contacted me. I'm still in the process of doing that. I'll answer any questions that you have regarding being on the committee, because it's going to be a lot of work, and you have to be ready for it. But it's going to be very rewarding because you'll really be able to help your community. You'll really be able to help us make a good decision about what the high school and middle school zones should be. So I think it would be something that a lot of y'all will be interested in. Let me know. My hope is to appoint people within my district as much as possible, District 2. And so if you have any questions, let me know. Reach out to me anytime you'd like. I don't really see any questions right now. Let me see. Let me check to see if I have any questions here that I missed. Let's see. Okay, I don't see anything. I think I got some text here. So let me see if I have a text message question. Okay. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for doing this video. Okay, here's a question. So when will we do elementary school rezoning? I don't know at this point. I know that we are really growing at our elementary schools also. And I know that in the future, we're going to do another bond program where we'll probably have to build some more elementary schools, maybe another middle school. And we were looking at doing a bond this year coming up in 2019, but at this point it's been postponed. I'm not sure when it's going to happen at this point. It might be more likely maybe 2020 or 2021 is perhaps when the next bond will come out. The board has to make that decision as a group, and we have not done that at this point in time. All right, any other questions? I'm glad everybody could join. Appreciate y'all staying up with me to talk about zoning. I guess that's it. Okay, so again, just let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for being on this Facebook Live. Bye-bye.